Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Thursday evening, February 13, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you guys utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below, letting me know what the that's been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us according to the latest Euro model that came out at 3:30 p.m. today, as well as the latest GFS model that came out at 6 p.m. So keep your eyes focused right here at the top as we go to the next 168 hours. That's the next 7 days. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens represents inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. We can see that as we head into Friday, we see an abundance of moisture extending from the waters to the south of Puerto Rico, to the south of Hispaniola, all the way over to the south of Jamaica, into portion of Central America right there Friday morning. Some of this activity will definitely bring some rainfall to the section of Jamaica on a Friday afternoon across section of central and western parishes mainly. Saturday morning, we do see that abundance of moisture to the south of us, as well as across eastern and northern parishes. Very interesting Saturday morning forecast. Then on Saturday afternoon, we see that rainfall across central and western parishes. We see a strong frontal system across the central to the eastern United States right there. Heading into Sunday, we still see that tongue of moisture stretching from the Windward Islands across the ABC Islands into portion of eastern Jamaica for Sunday morning. Some of this activity definitely affecting section of some central western parishes during Sunday afternoon. Heading into Monday, what do we see? We can clearly see moisture extending from the Windward Islands all the way across the South Central Caribbean to the Western Caribbean to the west of Jamaica right there. Very interesting forecast. We also see some rainfall across central and western parishes in Jamaica on Monday. Heading into Tuesday, not really seeing much for the morning, but clearly some rainfall is expected on Tuesday afternoon. Heading into Wednesday, what do we see on Wednesday afternoon? Definitely some isolated shores across central and western parishes. And we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for Thursday, February 20. And we can see an abundance of moisture stretching from the east coast of the US all the way down into Florida and the Gulf of Mexico, all the way down into Mexico as well. We can also see moisture extending from eastern Honduras, northeastern Nicaragua, all the way to the south of Jamaica, eastward to the south of Hispaniola and Puerto Rico, all the way into portion of the eastern Caribbean. And if we match what we just saw on the latest Euro model to the latest GFS model, we're going to be seeing some similarities. First of all, Friday morning is showing that rainfall that eastern parishes could get in on, just like what the Euro was showing. Then Friday afternoon, we see that rainfall across section of some central and western parishes. Saturday morning, just like what the Euro showed, with rainfall across northern and eastern parishes. And then Saturday afternoon, let's go back. We see some of that rainfall, especially across south central and western Jamaica. Sunday, we see that morning rainfall across eastern parishes, northern and western parishes during Sunday afternoon. Monday, what do we see? Don't see much, but maybe some isolated shores across the southwest on Monday afternoon. Tuesday afternoon, we see some isolated shores across sections of some central and western parishes. Wednesday, not really seeing much, maybe some isolated shores across northern and western Jamaica. And then we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid also for Thursday, February 20. we can actually see the consensus regarding that strong frontal system and the huge low pressure system right here off the east coast of the US. We see that both the Euro and the GFS models are adamant about that. We also see the moisture extending into the Gulf of Mexico and sections of Central America, just like what the Euro was showing. And we actually make out that moisture right here to the south of Jamaica, a bit closer to Jamaica than what the Euro was showing, and we see the same right here to the south of Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. Either way, in terms of the total accumulated precipitation forecast for the next 7 days, we can see that both maps here from the Euro and the GFS, which are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on, well, not 10 p.m., but from now up until Thursday, February 20. We can clearly see that the most rainfall over the next 7 days should clearly be where we have all of these oranges into the reds. That represents anywhere from 0.75 for an inch of rainfall all the way up into the 1 to 2 inches of rainfall range. And we can even see the purples into the pinks that represents the 3 to 5 inches of rainfall range. We can clearly see that over the next 7 days, the most rainfall should be across sections of the Yucatan Peninsula, Guatemala, Belize, sections of eastern Honduras, eastern Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, sections of western Venezuela, southern Venezuela. We also see some of the action right here into eastern Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, and French Guyana. And we also see an abundance of rainfall across maybe sections of eastern Jamaica, far eastern Cuba, eastern Hispaniola, eastern Puerto Rico, anywhere from Guadeloupe southward, Dominica, Martinique. Definitely going to be getting on some rainfall for sure. And we can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with that. I mean, look at the consensus, especially right here across sections of Central America and Northern South America. That's where we have the most in the way of rainfall taking place, especially with the dark reds, purples, and pinks. That represents anywhere from 2 all the way up to maybe 5 inches of rainfall. Some of that could definitely lead to some amount of isolated flash flooding for sure. So we just hope and trust that the persons who reside in these areas are taking the necessary precautions so that they're not that drastically affected by what's to come. Taking a look at the total accumulated precipitation for the next 7 days for Jamaica. Both maps here from the Euro and the GFS showing all the rain that's expected across Jamaica from now up until Thursday, February 20. And just like yesterday's forecast, the Euro is still adamant at showing that the most rainfall should be plaguing especially eastern Jamaica, where we have those yellows that represents all the way up to 45 millimeters of rainfall. Yes, we see the rainfall across central and western parishes in the blues, and the greens represent anywhere from a millimeter all the way up to maybe 30 millimeters of rainfall. But we still have some disagreement on the GFS. Clearly, the GFS is showing less rainfall than what the Euro is showing. GFS only going all the way up into the greens across eastern Jamaica, that represents maybe 15 millimeters of rainfall, while we're seeing less than that across central and western parishes. Either way, we have consensus that there's going to be rainfall sometime within the next 7 days across Jamaica. So look out for that, and keep in mind that all of this rainfall is not going to be taking place all at once. It's going to be spread out over the next 7 days, especially across eastern Jamaica in the morning hours, central and western parishes during the afternoon. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see a ridge of high pressure right here to the north of the eastern Caribbean that we know is responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. To the east of that high pressure dome, we see a cold front as represented by this blue spike line stretching all the way up into the northeastern portion of North Atlantic, and we can make out that we still have a frontal system affecting portions of the United States. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can make out the clouds right here associated with that frontal system currently bringing some amount of overcast skies, if not some rainfall, to portion of the southeastern US as we speak. We can also make out that rainfall, well, not that rainfall, but the cloud cover and the line of clouds at that, stretching all the way from the northeastern portion of North Atlantic associated with that frontal system. And if you look closely, we can see that low level flow of the mid to low level clouds steering their way from east to west, from right to left, all courtesy of the ridge of high pressure right here to the north. And we know that some of these clouds definitely have some moisture embedded in them, so look forward to some more isolated showers for sure. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Thursday, February 13, 2025. It was stated that some isolated showers were in the forecast for parts of eastern Jamaica on Thursday morning, also affecting sections of some central and western parishes during Thursday afternoon. And we know eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Central parishes, you know, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Catherine. While western parishes, you know, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? At around 9:35 a.m., the visible satellite images were not only posted here on our Twitter page, Weather Jamaica, but I'd like for you to keep in mind that these posts were also made on our Instagram page, weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page, Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page, Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there, as we may post throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So we can basically see the clouds coming in from the east and pushing westward. Definitely had more of an east-southeasterly kind of flow, and these clouds definitely brought some amount of rainfall for sure, stretching all the way from St. Thomas into Portland, definitely going into section of Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, extending from east to west all across the island for sure. And even during the afternoon, we saw that the visible satellite images were posted at around 2:45 p.m. and they showed that we're still getting on some of these clouds, pushing their way and making their way westward, if not west-northwestward. And they were still bringing some amount of overcast skies, if not some isolated showers, to sections of some central and western parishes for sure. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can make out all of what we just saw. Basically, the clouds starting to clear out across northern and eastern parishes, still bring some overcast skies, if not some isolated shores section of western parishes by the time we were losing the sunlight. And if we take a look at the infrared close-up satellite images, we don't see much in the way of those high cloud tops at all. No cirrus clouds, no cumulonimbus clouds, nothing in terms of the bad weather at all. Just those low to mid-level clouds pushing their way from east-west and dissipating as we head into the night. And if we take a look here at See Jamaica's YouTube channel, at around 11:37 a.m., look at the hills of St. Andrew. Look at all of that embedded in whites, blanketed in some amount of rainfall. We definitely had some rainfall in Kingston, but it was more on the light side. But we can clearly see that it was definitely pouring up there in the hills of St. Andrew. If you live or work in these areas, let me know what the weather was like there. But this is See Jamaica, and I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, you can visit this YouTube channel. It's all for free, and it's not only Crossroads but even Halfway Tree, Flat Bridge. They also have the panoramic city view as well as the Kingston Harbor, and they are planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. If we take a look at the accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, even although it's not showing widespread rainfall across the entire island, this map does indeed paint a picture of the fact that we got some amount of shadings that represent rainfall across eastern Jamaica, central and western parishes. So it might not be 100% accurate, but it does paint quite the picture of where we might have had the rainfall. And if we take a look at some of the comments here that came in on our Instagram page, we had Edwards Tanisha confirming what the weather was like in her ear. The breeze, wow, so heavy, little dew, loving it, just cold. We have Amorous _baby _boutique stating, this come like hurricane. Alright, thanks for letting me know that. Even on our Instagram page, we had Rush _shotty1 stating, good afternoon with the Jamaica, when will the breeze stop? Because trust me, I know the breeze is terrible these days, and it is definitely causing a lot of dust, a huge dust nuisance for sure. Especially at my workplace, I can see all of the dust even more. And the thing about winds like these, they come with sickness, and we don't want the asthma or the sinusitis at all. So hopefully it ends shortly. We just have to stay updated to see what unfolds. even on our Facebook page, we had at least one comment coming in here from Lance Brown, sitting raining in his area right there. And if we take a look at what's happening right now, according to the latest still image from the Weather Alert website, the latest still image is showing 0105 UTC, which is actually 8:05 p.m. So this just came out 5, 10, 14 minutes ago, considering that it's 8:19 p.m. now. And you can basically see that the island is clearing out. We still have the leftover milky whitish colors represent the cloud cover to the west of us though. And unfortunately, the Cuban Doppler radar is still glitching out February 3 to February 4, so we still have to be depending on the Guantanamo Bay Cuban Naval Radar Imagery, where we don't see much of anything across eastern Cuba, northeastern Jamaica, or western portions of Haiti. But the Cayman radar actually showing some of that moisture that came off of Jamaica today. We see some of it to the west of us, we see some of it to the south of the Cayman Islands. Not seeing much activity across southern Cuba, but we do see a band of showers right here. And if we take a look at what's happening right now, according to See Jamaica's YouTube channel, we can see that across Crossroads, well, not Crossroads, halfway through, we have people walking about, going about their business, people in their vehicles going about their business. Definitely a fair night, it seems. Who knows, maybe we might just get on some more isolated showers late tonight into tomorrow. You'll see how it actually goes. Either way, in terms of the temperatures right now, we can say we have 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Friday, temperature should dip down to about 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 22 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Friday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Friday, and we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some orange colors that we can see from the key on the right. That represents up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. And we know the normal temperature for the month of February across Jamaica is around 86.4 degrees Fahrenheit, and when that's converted to degrees Celsius, that's around 30.1 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 30.1 all the way up to 32.1 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Friday. And unfortunately, we have at least one maintenance outage advisory here to highlight. One is a bit too much, because we know that when we have power outages in an area, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse. Hopefully we get a situation like today where we have more winds, more cloud cover, more cool temperatures. Either way, we saw the temperature forecast. So if tomorrow is a bit too hot for you, especially if we have a power outage, where you know it can definitely exacerbate the heat because we don't have our fan or our AC to cool us down. Basically, we have to be highlighting these, and we're talking about a maintenance outage here, which is up for Wakefield to Mushet of Trelawney from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. So if you live or work in these areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, let them know that a power outage is coming their way. And at least we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. It states here, when outside, seek shade, eat fresh, try eating cold food such as salads and fruit. Rest, make sure you get enough sleep, and rest if you're feeling tired. Soak, take a cool shower or bath to help you cool down. And I cannot stress enough the importance of drinking lots of water throughout the day. Put away those sugar drinks, drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know that the dry air is represented by what we see here all across the Atlantic basin. It's what we see here on the key on the bottom actually. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those rays. And we can see the abundance of dry air stretching all across the Atlantic, but what we also see is some amount of yellows stretching across section of the Caribbean. That's some of the moist air, which explained some of this that we saw on the visible satellite imagery. Look at all of the white. These are the clouds with some amount of moisture within them, some isolated shores for sure, stretching all the way from the eastern Caribbean into the central and western Caribbean. So we'll definitely take some of that to bring us some amount of rainfall. What we don't want, however, is the actual Saharan dust, whose forecast is being shown right here for 2 p.m. on Friday, and we can clearly see that majority of the western hemisphere is in the clear. Jamaica right here as well, because all the browns represent the Saharan dust, should be across portions of the main development region right here. And we're indeed grateful that we're not seeing that dark shade of brown that we know means the vigorous plume of dust that we know can cause very hazy skies, not to mention trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses in some persons. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see that we still have the lowest waves across the Bahamas into the Gulf of America. as represented by the light blues into dark blues, representing from 0.5 meter wave height all the way up to 1.5 meter wave height. All the highest waves in the purples, pinks, and burgundies extending from the southwestern Caribbean all across the central to the eastern Caribbean. So anywhere from 2 to 3, maybe even close to 4 meter wave heights expected. Jamaica's north coast tomorrow up to 2 meter wave heights, south coast 2.3, even higher than that 2.5 across the southeast. And that's because of these winds that are expected. You can clearly see more of an east-northeasterly flow across the eastern Caribbean, curving a bit slightly more westward across the central to the western Caribbean. And we see a mixture of those bright greens into yellows that represent anywhere from 20 to 25 knots, maybe even gusting to 30 knots in some spots. So we still have some windy conditions to get, but not as robust as what we got earlier this week. We see more greens. I mean, look at the north coast, up to 17 knots on the north coast. South coast 16 knots. Not really definitely gonna be windy, but not as windy as what we got earlier this week. And this is the forecast for 1 p.m. on Friday. And we also see that the air is gonna be piling up wherever we have these blues. That's where the air is going to be piling up to make way for some daytime heating, rainfall, maybe across section of some central western parishes. And we also see the flow of the winds on the eastern side coming in kind of from the northeast, so who knows, maybe some relief rainfall for northern Jamaica, especially during the morning hours. We'll see how it actually goes. And we actually see the upper level winds still coming in from the west. So if we actually get some convection, those high level clouds will be streaked off towards the east as usual. Taking a look at the actual rainfall forecast maps now. This map here from the Euro and this map here from the GFS are both showing 5 a.m. on Friday. And we can clearly see the blues across sections of some northern parishes, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland right here in the Euro. GFS more so St. Mary and Portland. We'll see it actually goes either way. When we see consensus on models like this, when we see agreement, the chances are higher for it to actually happen. So look out for that morning rainfall across the northern areas. Then look at the afternoon now. This is 3 p.m. on Friday. And we can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS are in consensus that there should be some isolated afternoon rainfall, mainly across sections of some central and western parishes. The GFS definitely adamant about south central and western Jamaica in the dark blues. The Euro trying to incorporate eastern Jamaica, but not so much on the GFS. We'll see it actually goes. I'll definitely be here to keep you posted. And we also see that both accumulated precipitation forecast maps are showing rainfall somewhere across the island tomorrow. The Euro a bit more robust, showing all the way up to 0.28 of an inch of rainfall, especially across the east. GFS showing all the way up to 0.14 of an inch of rainfall across the northeast. We'll see how it actually goes, and I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs. And whatever happens, we'll definitely take it. We are in the month of February, and in February, we usually receive up to 90 millimeters of rainfall for the month. In Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the top, and in Montego Bay, we usually receive up to 2.9 inches of rainfall for the month, as you can see right here from their bar graph at the bottom. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall for the entire year, for the entire month of February, you can visit weatherandclimate.com, and that website will show you that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters. You know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can do the math yourself. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have some clouds passing through the Leeward Islands into Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic as we speak. Definitely have some moisture within those, and if we actually take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, we can see all of that for sure. Look at all of the moisture extending from Dominica northward, Guadeloupe, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts, the US and British Virgin Islands, northern Puerto Rico, definitely getting some amount of isolated showers as we speak. And if we load these images from earlier today, we can see that moisture pushing into Antigua and Barbuda, as well as St. Kitts. Look at Puerto Rico, eastern, central, western Puerto Rico, definitely getting lashed with some amount of moderate to some slightly heavy rainfall too. Taking a look at the Barbados radar, we can make out some amount of moisture passing, especially to the north of Barbados. Some of the activity definitely passing through Barbados even as we speak. We can see some of that moisture coming into portion of Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and Grenadines getting some amount of isolated showers too. Taking a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see some of the rainfall affecting Trinidad and Tobago, eastern Venezuela, the ABC Islands getting some isolated showers. So too section of Colombia, section of northwestern Guatemala too. And if we take a look at what the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, Clearly we see that the most rainfall in the oranges and reds that represents up to 0.75 to at least up to 1 inch of rainfall, even more so robust on the Euro, where it gets up into the purples that represent up to 3 inches of rainfall. Definitely going to be expected for eastern Venezuela, Guyana, section of Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica. We also see rainfall across section of the Yucatan, Belize, Guatemala, section of eastern Honduras, Nicaragua, section of Suriname, French Guyana, as well as section of the Eastern Caribbean. We're talking about the Dominican Republic, Eastern Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, Barbados, section of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Trinidad and Tobago could definitely get on some of the isolated shore activity as well. And clearly we see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this forecast. And we know that when they're in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.